It should go without saying, but the tennis racket is the most fundamental equipment in tennis. From the grip size to the string tension, there are plenty of elements in a racket that play a vital role in the making of a pro tennis champion. That's why some rackets have become nearly as iconic as the players who wield them, commanding sky-high prices. From a broken racket to premium sports apparel like the Proximus Diamond Game Prize, we take a look at the most expensive tennis rackets.
The most dangerous racket ever built.
You couldn't follow the ball.
Diving right into the heart of tennis innovation, we spotlight the Fischer Spaghetti Racket, a game changer born in 1972. Crafted by German amateur Werner Fischer, it had a unique design as its vertical strings and the horizontal ones didn't intertwine. Instead, the horizontal ones were strung atop the vertical ones. The latter was attached by a thin filament that earned this racket the spaghetti name, as this plastic tubing resembled macaroni, and it gave the ball more rotational energy and allowed for a more unpredictable game. Arthur Ashe was one of its main opposers and explained how this unprecedented equipment affected the game. Because the main strings of the racket are doubled over the supporting horizontal strings and tied to them, they all move with a sliding motion, giving the ball topspin of such acute velocity that you can't duplicate it. And this increased spin means that you can hit the ball very hard and know it will land inside the baseline with that spin pulling it down. It also means that a guy coming to the net against it is open to the most exaggerated lobs, which he can't possibly reach. It was first used by players such as Barry Phillips-Moore and George Govan, but it made its way into the spotlight in 1977 through Mike Fischbach. He then made it to the US Open main draw, losing in the third round after getting an upset against seeded player Stan Smith. Unlike any other pro training gear, the racket was causing outrage amongst players, as some even went as far as to refuse to play against any opponent that uses the spaghetti.
You just go like this. The ball will go.
Ilya Nastase, world number 9 at the time, took this stance. That's the first time I've played against someone using one of those. It's also the last. In future, I shall refuse to play, he said. Ironically enough, Nastase would end up using Fischer's spaghetti racket and even won tournaments with it. The spaghetti racket was permanently banned by the ITF in July 1978. But the real value of such a racket? Imagine a tool that could elevate amateurs to pro status and help players clinch tournaments wins with ease. So should we say it then had an unlimited value? Absolutely. Now, a more tangible value can be associated with the Wilson Pro Staff RF97 V13 tennis racket, which was made famous by none other than Roger Federer.
I moved to the RF97 autograph. I think then I definitely also went for more of a power racket.
A racket specifically made for the Swiss superstar. It thrived as far as stability and power are concerned, being considered one of the best for volleying. A fully black design, it's a racket made for big tennis moments, as it is pretty efficient in the serve and slice department. Its downsides? It's a bit heavy, so a good tennis fitness regimen is important for a player to move the racket effectively. Now, can you guess its price tag? Well, it has an estimated value of $279. But was this Wilson's only cool racket? Absolutely not. The Wilson Pro Staff 85 Original is the first model of one of the greatest franchises in tennis history, and this model was a pioneer for the usage of carbon rackets in the pro circuits ever since. Its carbon and aramid fiber double braid caught the eye of plenty of tennis's big names, such as Roger Federer, former Aussie Open, US Open, and Wimbledon champion Stefan Edberg, and most notably, 14-time Grand Slam winner Pete Sampras. The racket combined feel, control, and power, and was built for a more offense-based game. The Wilson Pro Staff 85 Original's small head size made it unusable in the modern game. Guess what its price tag is now? Well, it's around $2,800. But Wilson's models aren't the only iconic rackets in tennis history, as Sweden's greatest player, Bjorn Borg, became synonymous with the Done Pro racket. From 1975 to 1983, Done sponsored Borg, and he held their rackets throughout his career. His two most famous Done rackets were the all-wood and the Borg Match Pro. They both had wooden laminated frames and a small head size. But here's a twist that'll blow your mind. It seems like Borg added more magic to his racket than it did to his game. Using a wooden racket, which typically could destabilize gameplay, Borg's legendary spins and aggressive style proved that true talent transcends equipment. His ability to dominate with such a classic tool is a testament not just to his skill, but to his enduring legacy in tennis history. And these rackets' estimated value? Well, that's around $8,683. But not far off from Borg's years, there was a certain tennis bad boy from Germany who also had an iconic racket of his own. Well, none other than Boris Becker, who throughout the 80s conquered 4 of his 6 Grand Slam titles. His success inspired Puma to start their tennis venture, and they did so by creating the Puma PCS Boris Becker racket, specifically designed for Becker's game. Made out of graphite and fiberglass, it used innovative technology to blend power and precision. Even the blue and red design made the racket match the German legend's charisma, and it had an estimated value of $9,882. But what do you guys think about this racket? Now, legendary or not, the rackets aren't exclusively associated with men, as none other than 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams has one of her own. But not for the reason you might expect. Let's go back to the 2018 US Open final, as Serena went head-to-head against Japan's rising star Naomi Osaka. The match didn't go well at all for Serena, as it started slipping away from her. The American legend vented out frustrations by smashing her racket against the tennis court.
Serena breaking her racket. Threatened with another.
As if the moment wasn't dramatic enough, Serena got one of 3 warnings and saw herself in a fight with the umpire, who penalized the American superstar by awarding a game to Osaka. The broken racket ended up becoming a serious piece of tennis memorabilia and was auctioned in 2019 for an insane amount. Can you guess it? That's no less than $20,190. For the next valuable racket, we go back to pre-open era days, far before complex training programs and sports nutrition partnerships, as we take a look at Fred Perry's Slazenger Challenge No. 1. Perry was a British tennis superstar from the 1930s and became the first player to ever achieve the career Grand Slam. This racket became synonymous with Fred Perry and is believed to be the one he used to win the 1936 Wimbledon tournament, his final Grand Slam win. A traditional wooden racket, its value increases because of Fred Perry's signature in the concave throat and of the FJP monogram on the side of the handle. It's a heavy piece of equipment, as any quality racket from the early 20th century, and it strives for balance as it has a mid-size head and a weight distribution that favors stability and control. It ended up being auctioned for a staggering $37,324. Now, how often does a player get to handle not one, but 2 legendary rackets? In 2011, the Wilson 6 One Tour BLX became synonymous with Roger Federer, particularly due to his Roland Garros performance. That year, Federer had the chance to achieve his second career slam and made it to the final of the French Open, where he lost in another epic encounter with Nadal. The Wilson 6 One Tour BLX had Federer's signature on it and was a heavy racket, favorable to more stability while also allowing its holder to play a game focused on power. This piece of equipment also favors the spin in comparison with the Wilson Pro Staff 85. It was auctioned in 2020 for $55,000 and became the most expensive tennis racket sold as far as male players are concerned. But who can top this record? Well, none other than Billie Jean King, as the Wilson that she played with to defeat Bobby Briggs in the Battle of the Sexes in 1973 was auctioned for over $100,000. This racket has a wooden frame with an oval head, a concave throat, and a brown leather grip. Billie Jean King's autographed racket was auctioned in 2017 for $125,000. Now, what's the most expensive racket in the world? How much do you think it's worth? Well, the most expensive tennis racket in the world costs over $1 million, and no one has ever played with it. The Proximus Diamond Game Prize was first designed as a trophy for a WTA Tour competition of the same name as the racket. This racket is made out of gold and features more than 1,700 diamonds. This also has a large tennis ball attached to the strings, which is also adorned with diamonds. It's estimated to be worth $1.3 million, more than the combined price of 5 Ferraris. Now, who's held this trophy? Emilia Mauresmo became the only person to conquer this trophy in 2007, as the Proximus Diamond Game Prize was only meant for players who won the tournament 3 times. From game-changing rackets to iconic trophy winners, it's not just the specs that define their worth. It's the legends who wield them and the epic stories that they tell. Now we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us about your favorite tennis racket.